Good morning and good afternoon. And of course, if you are here in Southern Africa, we are saying good evening and welcome to Hands On, our weekly program whereby we invite various people to come and talk to us about what they are doing in using their hands in not just creating wealth and employment, but also leaving a legacy for their loved ones. We're broadcasting live from Pretoria, and my name is Noel Sibanda, and I'm glad to call on you. Tonight, I'm privileged to have none other than a special guest by the name Manqoba the Conqueror. Good evening, Manqoba, and welcome to Hands On.
Good evening, Mr. Sibanda, and good evening to the viewers at home across the globe. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Manqoba. And what does Manqoba mean? Manqoba Mashiyane. What does Manqoba mean?
Well, Manqoba, as you rightly said, it means the conqueror. And yeah, Manqoba Mashiyane is the firstborn of Aaron Mashiyane and Pilisiwe Mashiyane, and is the loving husband to Tato. And Manqoba is blessed with three kids. Ulwandle, Nosnenhlanhla, and Nolindo Buhle.
And Manqoba, how has it been like growing up in South Africa?
Well, growing up in South Africa was both challenging and very exciting, I must say, because I'm sure you understand that if you grew up in the 80s, there was times of segregation where you couldn't go to certain places. But yeah, it was relatively nice and very enjoyable. Thank you.
And tell us about the challenges that come with being a firstborn. Everyone wants to look towards you as a firstborn.
Well, yeah, being a firstborn is very challenging because obviously, generally, there's a lot of pressures, even from the parent side, that they actually impose on their firstborns. But I'm glad to say that I survived, and I'd like to believe that I'm trying to set a good example for my other siblings, two siblings, because we actually three. There's my younger brother Mpome, who is his birthday today. Mpome, happy birthday to you! Hoping that
Happy birthday, Mpuma. Yes. And
and
you
I
know,
also have my younger sister who is Nonkululego as well. So yeah, we three, but I'd like to believe that I did try to set a decent example through to them.
yes. And one of my best days were actually high school days. Tell us more about your school days.
Well, Manqoba started school he started when he was 4 years old, believe it or not. I used to live in Soweto. So there was a cousin of mine who was 2 years older than me. So whenever she'd go to school,
4 years old.
4 years old, believe it or
You
not.
must have been a whiskey.
Yeah, what had happened was that we attended the same preschool, and when she needed to go to big school, I obviously started crying, also wanting to go to big school. So they actually, I can say, use me as a test to see whether the 4-year-old can actually adapt to school. And luckily, I'd like to believe that I adapted because I actually managed to finish the entire year of my primary schooling at Isipo Primary School. And then from there on, I, I stopped at standard one at Isipo Primary School. Then I moved over to Duduza Primary School, and Duduza is in it's a township of Nigel, where I started from standard two up until standard five, and then from standard five, I then my parents, luckily for them, they managed to have better resources, and they sent me through to Springs Boys High, where I completed my matric. And then obviously after matric, I then went to Technicon but Witwatersrand, TWR, which is now
Yes.
called UJ, or University of Johannesburg, where I did my electrical engineering up until S3. And then obviously I got bitten by the insurance bug, and then I obviously then started, I did an internship uh, with Regent Insurance, or learnership rather, not internship, learnership, where It was a year, and I think I finished all my modules in 3 months, and then they then absorbed into their workforce. I started obviously also being a learner where I did your underwriting. I then proceeded to do their claims, and yeah, I was basically an all-rounder within the industry.
And tell us, where did you meet the Queen, Tato?
Well, I met Tato in Soweto. In fact, well, she used to live in Soweto at that time, but we met at Zoo Lake. It was a Christmas party for a company that I used to work for. Her sister used to work with me, and she brought her along. I still even remember the day. I think it was the 9th of I think it was in December, 9th of December. And then, yeah, we took it from there, yes.
Manqoba, you like sport, and you tell me, previously that, your sport is golf. Tell us more. How did you get involved with golf?
Well, with golf, I started caring for my dad. And as I did indicate, those times you'd find that there were certain golf courses that we couldn't actually go through to. So I started caring for him, and then obviously the love of the game also bit me, and I started playing. Luckily, the school that they took me through to, which is Prince Boys High at the time, also had a golf team. So I started competing from there, and yeah, that is, and I still play until today.
And studying engineering, what exactly did you end up doing, in engineering before you moved into, Los Angeles?
Well, look, I did electrical engineering, heavy current, and up until S3. And S3 is basically you are a semester away from actually completing the actual diploma. I must say it was a bit tough one, especially my father, because he wanted me to be here, but we had discussions, and he understood that, look, my son actually is more passionate in insurance, and yeah, luckily supported me, and now I started owning my own business, and I'm sure he's proud.
Now I'm glad that at least your dad finally bought into your passion, And this Weshuhuno Los Adjusters. Tell us, before we go into, what does Weshuhuno mean, and why Weshuhuno?
Well, Weshuhuno is also Manqoba in Swahili. Like I think my dad had he read a book about Weshuhuno who emancipated his people. It was somewhere, I think, in Kenya or something like that. So Weshuhuno is actually Manqoba, but in Swahili. So it's actually my pet name. So yeah, that is why I use the name, because I love the name. And if you can also just go and check out my Facebook page, it's also Weshuhuno, and underneath it's there's a payoff line which says that we leave no stone unturned. So that is the passion that our business has in making sure that we validate the claims properly for our clients.
Manqoba, moving from electrical engineering to insurance, that's a big a jump. What actually prompted you to move into insurance?
Well, actually, what had happened, normally after S3, you're supposed to, when you are in technical, you're supposed to be doing your experiential training. So at that time, in electrical engineering, they were taking a bit more of ladies, because obviously equity at that time was still an issue. And then I was just idling, and then I got in an opportunity to do this internship, and I did that, and I eventually fell in love with insurance. Hence, the shift from engineering to actually now in insurance. But in the same thing, I'm actually glad that I also did engineering as well, because for those that don't know, insurance is very broad, because in insurance you find yourself sometimes where you need to validate a claim for an electrical company. You have to do their inventory, for an example. So engineers are also needed in insurance, believe it or not.
So that knowledge comes in
Surveyor,
handy. Yeah.
everything. So insurance is actually a multifaceted sort of industry. So it's not only about cars and
Accidents.
buildings, but because even buildings themselves, if maybe there's a fire, then you need structural engineers to come to check the integrities of those particular buildings, whether they need to be demolished or whatever the case is. So I don't think necessarily that it was a loss that I studied engineering and ended up in insurance, because even uh, ESCOM, if for an example, one of their substations blow up, you need that particular insurance or rather engineering industry expertise to actually know when they're talking about transformer, what are they talking about.
Yes.
So it actually put me in a good state, I have to say.
I hear you. I hear you. Because, if you don't understand the language, it will be difficult for you to make the assessment, So now I get to.
Yeah. And your reporting also will be very, very compromised.
Exactly. Exactly. And Manqoba, it's not easy to start a company, and let alone, this kind of a business. Where did you get the capital from to start this, insurance company?
Well, I'm sure you'd understand that most of the banks in South Africa, they actually need collateral. But luckily, when I resigned from my previous employer in 2017, obviously, they gave me a little something, which I then used that seed money to actually start my business. Yes. Hello, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, carry on. Yes.
Yes. So I use that to basically I used it as seed money to basically start my business, and 3 years now, and we're still going strong. I have to say, thanks to the Lord.
And there's a small fish in this industry. How do you rate yourself? How are you navigating your way? What are some of the challenges?
Well, in this industry, I have to say it's very, very tough because, you still, as a small guy, you still need to find your feet. As they say, you first need to start from foundation and build your business brick by brick up until it starts generating income, and you can start also employing. So, but what we try and do, we are a service-oriented business, and we try and keep our clients happy by giving them superior service than they are getting next door. That is how we survive and navigate the industry. But obviously, there are also yes.
Yeah, carry on.
Yes, there are also challenges with regards to, obviously, from time to time, for us, cash flow it's a big problem. Sometimes it does happen that our invoices are not paid on time, but it's something that we are constantly engaging with our clients. That look, cash flow is a lifeblood of our business. Please try and make sure that you sort us out on time so that we can always give you the service that you expect and require.
Talking about, the cake, I know the cake is not big enough, because there are so many players, How do you get your clients,
Well, look, it's basically sleepless nights, sending proposals, cold calling clients, and you get a lot of no's, but you also get yeses as well. And once you get those yeses, you obviously make sure that you treat your clients like gold, because I think service is one of the most fundamental things that can retain a business. Even sometimes you might find that you are more expensive. But because if you are service orientated, then that also allows you to compete, I would say, business.
So for you to come into this business, did you have a sort of a mentor to show you how to find your way in this industry? How did you find your feet?
Yes, no, I indeed had a mentor. There's a gentleman that had actually started a business before me. His name is Daniel Ndlovu. So he took me under his wing after I resigned because he was already in the industry. He showed me the ropes. I actually worked in his company for about a couple of months while I was still finding my feet. And then, yeah, so mentors are actually good. That is why I'm also passionate about mentoring others that hopefully will come after me as well, because you can only survive when you've got friends that are supportive and also mentors as well, including family and everything like that.
Manqoba, where is the family in this? I know family support is very, very important in such businesses. What would you say is the support that you get from Tato and the other members of the family, or are you solo?
No, support that I get from Tato, my wife, it's very critical. No. What happens is that my business is sold off, but the support that I get from my lovely wife, Tato, it's immeasurable because there are those sleepless nights, there are those nights of disappointments, and when you have a kind ear to listen to you when you are having troubles. It's always comforting, including your parents and your friends, because also you also need to have a few close friends that you can also just confide in, and obviously also your wife as well. It plays a very critical role, I have to say.
Talking about the sleepless nights, the delay in invoices, what other challenges do you face, and how have you, managed to circumvent them?
No. The biggest challenge is also access to market, because you have to understand that the industry that I'm in, which is insurance loss adjusting. If I can also just be broad and tell you what is insurance loss adjusting. Basically, what we do, we're getting instructions from insurance companies. They would say they have a claim in, let's say, KwaZulu Natal. Maybe there was an accident there. That obviously give me an instruction. Can you please go and investigate the merits of this accident? So we'd obviously set up an appointment with the client, interview him just to get a sense of how the accident actually occurred. Also take the clients to the scene, take pictures of the scene, and also pictures of the vehicle, so that you can see whether the damages and the scene, they actually correspond, and obviously
yes.
With your towings, get the accident report, that kind of stuff, and also get the tracker reports if they're needed. And yeah, so it's actually very exciting, but it also allows you to travel to see this beautiful country. But also, what happens is that you also are away from your family, unfortunately, from time to time.
And talking about yes. Yes, talking about the
that you.
Keron.
I beg your pardon.
I said those are the challenges. What?
Yes, those are the challenges. It's basically access to market, but we are getting there, because as we as a business grow, other insurance companies are starting to notice the type of diligent work that we're doing, and they are starting to also procure our services, even though obviously due to COVID-19 it has been a bit slow, but we are hanging in there and surviving, and yeah.
Talking about the challenges of corresponding evidence, have you ever came across people trying to take chances and creating artificial claims, and how do you overcome those? Tato, you're freezing?
No, it goes without saying that people will always try and take chances and
Yes.
put in artificial claims. In fact, as we are talking about that currently, I actually had a claim not so long ago, about 3 weeks ago, where there was a burglary, a business burglary in Luka Township in I think in the northwest, where uh, unfortunately for that particular client,
Yes.
he had a burglary and the insurance paid out. However, it didn't pay out to his liking, and he submitted now a fraudulent claim where he wanted to claim for more stuff, because he owns a bar lounge, the gentleman in question. And yeah, unfortunately for him, as I had indicated, that I also have a friend, Mr. Ndlovu, who's also in the same industry that I'm in, that actually appointed him before me, and he actually also loss adjusted that particular claim. And when we compared notes, me and him checking pictures, we actually realized that this gentleman, the point of entries, his story, replacement of burglar bars and that kind of stuff, went down, and obviously we the little white lies unfortunately caught up with the client. And yeah, it does happen also that people will tell you that sizokuhlabela imbuzi, that kind of stuff. But in our industry, we obviously need to have ethics and integrity as well. So those things are that we obviously cannot do. We obviously validate claims on their merits, and yeah.
No, thank you so much. Just when you're answering that question, somebody just actually put a question to say, a comment to say, Manqoba is very thorough with his work. Thank you so much for your hard work, Manqoba. And now with the advent of COVID pandemic, how has this impacted on the business?
No, well, obviously, I'd like to believe that no business in South Africa, besides if you're selling sanitizers and your PPEs, but no business hasn't been affected by COVID, because obviously we need to protect our clients and also protect ourselves as well, including our staff. So it has been tough, but we are surviving. And we pray for better days. But it has been bad because where you get, let's say, uh, 10 to 15 claims in a month. The volumes have dropped to about 5 claims in a month, which obviously creates a liquidity problem as well. So, with regards to the finances, because I did also indicate to you that sometimes you find that invoices are not paid on time. But
Yeah.
these are the challenges that are also factored into the business strategy that we have, and we are glad to say that now we are trying to survive the COVID pandemic, and yeah.
Manqoba, you are only 3 years old. Where do you see, which loss adjusters in 5 years' time? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I would like to see myself having grown and having made an impact. But most importantly, I think I would like to collaborate with other people who are Africans in particular, who are within this industry. Where, like, because for an example, I know of a gentleman who deals with motor vehicle damage assessments, where we could have a joint venture, and also know a guy who's a broker as well, where we could have a joint venture and perhaps start our own African-owned company where we can start creating employment within our immediate surroundings. Because I'm sure we understand that in South Africa is one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. So by doing JVs or joint ventures, we can do our bit to actually minimize the scourge of unemployment, and also, most importantly, try and also do skills transfer to the people that will be coming behind us, and hopefully try and leave a legacy as well.
Hmm. Talking about creating employment and also, skills transfer, you actually touched on my last question, which was Manqoba. As we conclude, this program, your final words to our viewers watching this program, what words of encouragement you want to share with our viewers, knowing very well that, when we die, we're not going to leave our jobs to our children, but we can leave our business to our children. What are your final words as we conclude this program?
Well, my final words would be to say that Black Child is possible. And I also would like to urge parents as well. I know most probably my parents might not necessarily be happy with me, because most in us Africans, we tend to tell our kids to go to school to get good employment. But I want
Yeah.
to change and say, let us go to school not to get good employment, but to start our own businesses and be industrialists and start owning things. So that when we die, we leave a legacy to our kids, and hopefully also they'll go to school if they're interested in the business that we are in. Hopefully that actually take the baton and move to greater heights than what we've actually left behind, hopefully.
Manqoba, I would not complete this program without reading Lifa Majola's, question. She says, or he says, for any young person who is watching or listening to this interview and has aspirations to venture into this field, what is your advice to that young person?
Well, for a young person who wants to venture into this field, I think the main thing is for them to find a mentor. And I'd like to believe that that could be a good mentor. And I've been blessed by also having a lot of contacts within this industry, because what actually needs to happen is that we need to normalize not only taking a girl child to school, but also to work, but also a boy child to work. So that you show them the insurance industry holistically, where you tell them that this is the underwriting department where the police are underwritten, and then you take them through to claims department, and then also you take them through to vehicle damage assessment department, and also the work that I do, which is loss adjusting as well. So that they can actually find their niche within this industry, because the industry is actually broad. So we actually they need to actually contact us so that we can guide them through the industry, and then hopefully they'll find the place within this big industry, and I'm sure they might have a fulfilling life afterwards.
Manqoba, the family, as you can see, is fully behind you, and thank you so much, for your, integrity. A lot of people are confirming that Manqoba is very thorough when it comes to his work, and of course, this kind of a business, you need to have ethics, Manqoba. And thank you so much, for being honest. And yes. Thank you so much for being so honest with your work. And to our viewers at home, thank you so much for joining us here on Hands On. That was Manqoba Mashiyane, Manqoba the Conqueror. Join us again next week when we bring you yet another guest here on Hands On. So until then, let's get our hands dirty. God bless you all.